Welcome back to the deep dive. For decades, when we talked about global security, the whole conversation, it really revolved around the visible stuff, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It was all about assets you could count.
Exactly. Who had the biggest navy, the longest range missiles, or, the largest standing army?
Tangible things. Brute force.
But the source material we are cracking open today, it basically tells us that this entire way of thinking, this old calculus, is completely obsolete.
It's a relic. Because the modern conflict, the one being fought right now as we speak, it isn't won or lost with conventional firepower.
No.
It comes down to one single crucial element: information dominance.
And that shift in thinking, that's really the foundation for this entire structure we're about to explore, isn't it?
It's the whole premise. I mean, when you strip away all the treaties, all the military agreements that make up this alleged Muslim NATO alliance, what you find underneath, the actual strategic foundation.
The pillar holding it all up.
The absolute critical pillar, yes, it's intelligence integration. Our sources today, which are excerpts from Unified Intelligence, the Islamic Shield, and the Nuclear Umbrella written by Mr. Zahir Ahmad-Mir, they're essentially giving us a blueprint.
A blueprint for what, exactly?
A blueprint for the nerve system, the
Right.
very thing designed to decide whether wars are preempted, prevented entirely, or if they are tragically lost before a single shot is even fired.
Okay, so let's unpack this blueprint then. We're going to dive into the architecture, the function, and the whole rationale behind the Joint Intelligence Fusion Center, or JIFC.
JIFE, right.
And we need to forget about troop deployments for a minute, because this JIFC, according to the sources, it's the core mechanism. It's what takes these incredibly sophisticated but often siloed national intelligence agencies.
They're working in isolation.
Exactly. And it molds them into one formidable, cohesive, unified intelligence shield for the entire collective. It's the brain of the whole operation.
It is the brain. And just as critically, it's the eyes and the ears. Historically, the Muslim world has been characterized by fragmentation, especially in security matters. That always led to reactive policies.
Always playing catch-up.
Always. The JIFC, at its core, seeks to reverse that trend completely.
And our mission today is to explore the frankly staggering level of detail that these sources provide. We're going to dissect the specific agencies involved, the operational scope, which is defined by 7 major interconnected functions.
And this is really interesting.
And crucially, the strategic logic behind splitting the command, behind basing the primary analysis center in Islamabad, and the secondary asset protection center in Riyadh.
And just to connect this to the bigger picture for you, the listener, the ultimate ambition that's laid out in these materials, it's profound.
It sounds it.
It's the creation of, for the first time in modern history, one single unified Muslim intelligence structure. That level of centralization, of trust, of technological integration. It's intended to fundamentally shift the geopolitical landscape. The goal is guaranteeing collective survival through information certainty.
Okay, let's start with that strategic context then. The why. The sources argue that individual strength is obsolete against these big, coordinated global threats. What is it about modern conflict that makes it so dependent on intelligence?
Well, the sources outline a very sophisticated a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
They move far beyond that old Cold War thinking of just measuring tanks and jets.
Right.
Today, conflicts are decided by a whole combination of factors. Rapid, comprehensive information gathering, pervasive surveillance, both digital and physical, predictive data analysis.
That's the big one.
That's the game changer. And then mastery of specialized technology, and of course the capacity for genuinely early detection. The core thesis here is that, well, intelligence precedes action. Military engagement is increasingly just a symptom of intelligence failure.
So if you have perfect information, you don't need to fight.
You deter. You win before the fight begins.
So the goal is to shift the entire military doctrine from a model of reaction, responding after a missile is hit or an invasion has already started, to a model of total prevention.
Precisely. To a model where threats are neutralized in the conceptual stage.
That sounds almost like science fiction.
But think about it. If you can use AI to model an enemy's likely strategic moves, their financial targets, their supply lines, their preferred disinformation vectors, you can completely preempt their entire operation. You can counter it politically, economically, diplomatically, without ever firing a shot.
And that is the ultimate application of intelligence.
It is. But this is also where we see the critical flaw of all the pre-JIFC intelligence efforts. You mentioned that many individual Muslim states have strong services.
And they do.
They do. but operating alone, they suffer from these massive vulnerabilities.
So what are those specific weaknesses that the sources identify? What made this monumental push for unification so necessary?
It's a really compelling list of vulnerabilities, and it exposes just how fragile a siloed national security approach is in the modern world.
Okay.
Firstly, limited global coverage. It's simple logistics. Even the strongest national service, say the ISI or MIT, simply cannot maintain actionable, real-time surveillance across every single region of strategic importance at the same time.
So they might be watching the Red Sea, but they miss something brewing in the Sahel.
Exactly. They only see one piece of a vast multi-continental puzzle, which means they're completely blind to a coordinated attack that's launched simultaneously from multiple disparate regions.
The death by a thousand cuts.
Precisely. Secondly, they suffer from vulnerability to sophisticated cyber attacks. A single nation-state, no matter how wealthy, may not have the resources or the expertise to defend against a targeted, sustained cyber campaign from a major global power. A centralized shared defense architecture pools those resources and that expertise.
That makes sense. Strength in numbers.
And thirdly, and this is maybe the most critical point, is their inability to predict multi-regional threats. Modern adversaries, whether they're state actors or transnational groups, they just don't respect borders.
No.
They weave their threats through financial networks, ideological proxies, digital platforms, all across multiple continents at the same time.
So if a threat spans 3 different jurisdictions, and those 3 intelligence agencies are not talking in real time using standardized protocols,
The threat succeeds.
it slips through the gaps between them.
That is the disconnection. The fourth vulnerability is the fundamental operational disconnection from one another. The sources explicitly lament this. They talk about the historic failure of these services to establish standardized communication and data sharing protocols.
Different languages, different system.
Different languages, different systems, and often, and this is key, driven by competing national agendas rather than collective security. This tendency to be reactive instead of preventative was, and the source uses this word, fatal.
And that liability of disconnection, especially in the age of rapid threats like cyber espionage or synchronized terror plots, it's just enormous.
It is. It means a nation in North Africa might get a critical piece of human intelligence, but by the time they verify it, get it translated, and manually transmit it to a partner in Central Asia, the window of opportunity for preemption is long gone.
So this all raises the key question that the JIFC is trying to answer. How do you actually protect the collective security and interests of 2 billion people spread across these vast, diverse domains?
And the source material makes the answer an absolute imperative. There is no other option. You must have a single, integrated, unified intelligence system. The vision is for a system where the strength of a highly resourced agency in the Gulf is instantly, seamlessly available to protect a geographically isolated state in Central Asia.
It's a force multiplier, not just in terms of data volume, but in operational response time.
Exactly. The goal isn't just sharing a report after a threat is confirmed anymore. It's about generating a singular collective shield where every single member's daily raw data feed contributes to the immediate preventative protection of all the others.
The sources really emphasize that this transition is necessary because against these coordinated global threats, individual resilience just isn't enough anymore.
Not even close. They are moving beyond traditional military defense and into this new realm of collective strategic prediction and deterrence, all of it built on a foundation of shared information certainty.
So let's transition from the why to the what and the who. When we define the JIFC structurally, this dual headquarters concept is key. Where are these centers located, and what's the functional definition of the JIFC itself?
Structurally, the JIFC is all about strategic redundancy and specialization. This central technical headquarters, the brain that handles the mass processing and the strategic synthesis, is hosted in Islamabad.
Okay, and we'll get into the reasons for that choice later, I'm sure.
We will.
Yeah.
And it's a choice rooted entirely in operational history and technical expertise.
And the secondary center, what's its role?
The secondary center is all about regional legitimacy and protecting high-value assets. That's established in Riyadh.
So you have the technical hub and the strategic hub.
That's a great way of putting it. And functionally, the JIFC is the ultimate convergence point. This is not just a liaison office where people exchange notes.
Right.
It combines the technical personnel, the vast data streams, and the operational assets of all member intelligence agencies into a single, unified, data-driven command structure. Think of it as the central processing unit for a continent-spanning operating system.
Now let's talk about the membership, because this really highlights the colossal scale of this integration. This isn't just a handful of neighboring countries.
No, this is a network spanning multiple strategic theaters. The list of who is committing their most guarded data and operational secrets is, well, it's impressive.
So who are the cornerstones?
The network is vast, reflecting that global ambition. But the three foundational pillars, the ones providing the technical, regional, and geopolitical weight, are clearly named. You have the ISI from Pakistan.
Renowned for its strategic depth.
Absolutely. Then you have the GID from Saudi Arabia, providing that crucial regional stability and, of course, the financial muscle.
And the third?
The MIT from Turkey, which brings a really sophisticated technical and, interestingly, a NATO-adjacent experience to the table.
Okay, stop there for a second. Those three organizations, they have immense and often competing geopolitical interests. Their cooperation alone on this suggests a massive political breakthrough. That might be the most difficult part of the entire project.
It is an astonishing level of political capital being spent to make this a reality. But the membership, it extends far beyond that core triumvirate.
Who else is involved?
It includes the sophisticated mukhabarat agencies from Jordan, Egypt, and the UAE. They contribute vital regional knowledge, especially concerning the Levant and North Africa.
And then you have to look east.
Exactly. Then you get the critical contributions from the intelligence services of Malaysia and Indonesia.
Representing the world's most populous Muslim nations and crucial maritime jurisdictions.
Correct. And then the network's reach extends even further into these critical, often overlooked regions.
Like Central Asia.
Yes, the intelligence agencies of Qatar, Morocco, and various Central Asian states are also part of this feed. This ensures you have coverage of major financial hubs, the Strait of Gibraltar, and those historically vulnerable borders facing Russia and China.
So this network spans nuclear states, major economic choke points, and the demographic heart of the Ummah.
It does. And it represents an astonishing level of mutual trust, or maybe a mutual acute sense of threat that compels them to share intelligence that, historically, they guarded jealously, even from their closest allies.
It has to be born out of necessity.
It must be. And this collective network, it's conceptualized in the source material using deliberately provocative language. They don't just call it an alliance.
Already followed.
They label this new fusion entity the Islamic Five Eyes.
Wow. Okay, that's not a subtle name.
Not at all. It's a direct, strategic assertion of intent. It's meant to directly challenge the Western intelligence architecture. The claim is that this JIFC is intended to be a stronger, more integrated, and frankly, more intelligent network than its predecessors.
Why more intelligent?
Because it's integrating modern AI-driven analysis from the very start, from day one, rather than trying to bolt it onto decades-old infrastructure like some other alliances have had to do.
So the name itself suggests they are aiming for a level of deep data integration that took the Western alliance decades to achieve. The goal isn't just functional parity, it's strategic dominance in the information sphere.
That's the ambition. They're using their sheer number of participants and their massive geographical spread as their primary force multiplier.
And that geographical spread means they cover theaters that the traditional Five Eyes might only view peripherally.
Deep into the interior of Africa, Central Asia, crucial non-NATO maritime routes, yes. By fusing the national expertise of over 25 states, they aim to eliminate the strategic intelligence gap entirely, creating a centralized brain that processes global events through one unified lens.
The success of the JIFC, then, it rests on overcoming that immense political friction to keep the data flowing.
That is the perpetual challenge.
Okay, let's move past the structure and into the operations. This is where we really start to understand the JIFC's true mandate. The sources detail 7 core functions that define its operational scope, and they illustrate how it moves well beyond traditional espionage.
It does. It moves into active, integrated 21st century defense. These functions are really the definition of preventative intelligence. They establish the JFC not just as a data repository, but as an active, defensive, and even offensive operational command center for information warfare and physical security.
So let's start with the most critical foundational function, the tripwire.
That's function 1. The early warning system. This is the foundational layer. It's the whole reason the system exists, really. It provides instantaneous protection against the entire spectrum of high-level threats.
So we're talking about
Everything. State-sponsored terror plots, sophisticated cyber attacks aimed at critical national infrastructure like power grids or financial markets, and of course conventional cross-border invasions.
The goal is to ensure that no member state ever faces a strategic surprise attack again, whether it's digital or kinetic.
Precisely. And that requires round-the-clock monitoring of global communications, border sensors, financial movements, everything.
And that real-time monitoring, that leads directly into Function 2, which leverages these advanced assets that individual states might not possess on their own.
Right. Function 2, satellite and drone surveillance integration. This is all about pooling assets. It's a simple but powerful idea. Every member state that operates any space-based imaging satellite, any high-altitude surveillance drone, or any advanced airborne recon asset has to stream that data directly, immediately, and unfiltered into the GISC's central systems.
So you're creating a singular, shared geospatial intelligence picture, a GONT picture.
Yes, and in doing so, you eliminate the geographical blind spots that previously plagued individual nations.
So just to make that concrete for you, a military buildup spotted by a Pakistani satellite over a distant border is instantly available to an analyst in Riyadh or Istanbul.
Without bureaucratic delays.
What?
Without waiting for a memo.
That's the key: instantaneous, unified situational awareness. But the moment you centralize all of that sensitive data, you face a monumental internal risk.
You do.
Doesn't that make the GIFC itself the single most tempting, high-value target for hostile foreign intelligence agencies? How does the source material address that specific vulnerability?
That is the crucial counterpoint, and it is addressed by Function 3, counterintelligence protection. This is highly sensitive work, and it's all focused on internal integrity.
Guarding the guardians.
Exactly. Since the entire alliance is founded on this premise of data sharing, the JIFC has to dedicate immense resources to securing everything: the systems, the physical HQs, the dedicated communication lines, and of course the personnel from external infiltration or compromise by hostile foreign agents. It's the guarantee to all members that their secrets, once shared, will not be betrayed from within the system.
Securing the systems while simultaneously opening them up for integration from 25 different partners, that sounds like a massive technological paradox they have to solve.
It's a huge challenge. Now, Function 4 moves us into the realm of integrated threats, the ambiguity of modern conflict.
You mean things that aren't a formal declaration of war?
Exactly. Function 4, hybrid warfare monitoring. This is where the JFC really proves its modernity. Hybrid warfare is a coordinated attack using all the tools of statecraft at the same time.
So, targeted disinformation campaigns.
Economic sanctions disguised as financial instability, political meddling, cyber disruption, and maybe some low-level kinetic action by proxy forces. The JFC's role is to monitor all these non-conventional threats, looking for synchronized patterns designed to destabilize a government without ever formally declaring war.
So they're tracking the narrative, the finance, and the signals all at once.
All at once, looking for the connections. Now, Function 5. This is the technological frontier. This is the capability that truly defines the JFC's ambition to become a world-leading intelligence body.
The AI component.
Function 5. Threat prediction using AI and data models. This is the revolutionary leap. It is the application of industrial-scale data science to national security. They're utilizing advanced machine learning algorithms and big data modeling, processing petabytes of daily intercepts, images, and financial records to anticipate future dangers.
So the AI is identifying correlations and anomalies that are simply impossible for human analysts to spot across 25 different massive data sets.
That's it. We're not talking about just detecting unusual cell phone chatter anymore. We're talking about modeling the probability of, say, a major trade route being attacked next quarter based on a combination of factors.
Like what?
Like commodities futures, diplomatic cable traffic, and specific patterns in dark web chatter, all synthesized by the machine.
So the system doesn't just verify what happened in the past, it uses pattern recognition to statistically predict what will happen in the future.
Precisely. The ability to model the likely outcomes of various regional tensions, whether they're resource disputes or political succession crises, allows the alliance to adjust its defensive posture weeks or even months in advance. This is the shift from prediction to preemption. That is the ultimate goal of the JIFC.
And once that prediction is made, it necessitates coordinated action, which brings us to Function 6.
Function 6, joint counterterrorism tasking. This is the operational teeth of the JIFC. Once a terror threat is predicted or confirmed, maybe a cell planning an attack across multiple jurisdictions, the JIFC issues coordinated, synchronized operational action plans.
This ensures that every relevant jurisdiction acts at the same moment,
denying the transnational threat any sanctuary or any warning.
And finally, Function 7, which is the guarantee that this entire operational structure won't just collapse under pressure.
Function 7, a secure communication network. If the JIFC is the brain, this is the protected spinal cord. They have to establish a robust, fully encrypted, and resilient communication pathway for all the Muslim militaries, intelligence directors, and political leaders.
It has to be hardened.
It has to be hardened against major cyber attacks to ensure command and control remains absolute and uninterrupted, especially during a crisis where external actors might try to paralyze the alliance by cutting off communication.
So these 7 functions taken together, they describe a full spectrum defense mechanism. It's a technological, strategic, and operational architecture designed for total information dominance and, at the end of the day, self-preservation.
It is a staggering mandate for integration.
Okay, we've established that the architecture is split between Islamabad and Riyadh. And this isn't just about decentralization. It's about leveraging specific, existing national strengths. So let's spend some time understanding why Islamabad is the natural home for the primary intelligence fusion HQ.
The sources are, well, they're unequivocal on this point. The selection of Islamabad is based entirely on a strategic calculus. The calculation is that Pakistan possesses the deepest, most battle-tested, and technically proficient intelligence service in the Muslim world, the ISI.
So the location is an acknowledgement of expertise trumping politics.
Yes, at least for the establishment of the central analytical hub.
You mentioned the ISI's resume earlier. To justify leading something called the Islamic Five Eyes, that resume has to be exceptional. What are the specific, proven historical strengths detailed in the source material that justify giving Pakistan the technical keys to this whole unified system?
The list is dense. It's full of high-stakes operational experience that very few other services can match. Firstly, they have a proven record of successfully defeating sophisticated hybrid warfare efforts.
Campaigns designed to destabilize the state from within.
Right, using proxies, disinformation, internal sabotage, all at once. And the sources stress they didn't just detect these efforts, they systematically neutralized them.
And their experience in counterterrorism is extensive. It goes back decades.
Indeed. Secondly, they have systematically dismantled major transnational terror networks that were operating across incredibly difficult terrain. This required not just boots-on-the-ground intelligence, but a deep mastery of SIG and signals intelligence and human intelligence, all under extreme pressure.
So they've proven they can operate in complex environments.
Very. Thirdly, they have consistently demonstrated the ability to outmaneuver complex foreign-sponsored operations that were aimed at internal political or regional destabilization.
Now, the ultimate stress test for any intelligence agency operating in that part of the world today has to be nuclear security. That alone must give them a unique kind of credibility.
Absolutely. The fourth key strength cited is their success in securing nuclear assets under intense global scrutiny and continuous hostile intelligence efforts. This requires a level of operational secrecy, technical discipline, and counterintelligence prowess that is, frankly, unparalleled in the region.
And the fifth.
Fifth, they have a proven track record of predicting regional escalations and managing these incredibly complex geopolitical fault lines. These aren't just isolated anecdotes in the source material. They form a long history of successfully navigating near-constant high-stakes crises.
It's essentially asking one organization to bring the mastery of 5 or 6 different, demanding intelligence disciplines to the table. Let's detail those specific disciplines the ISI brings, because this really highlights the depth of their knowledge base.
The ISI's expertise, according to the sources, spans the comprehensive range of modern intelligence collection. This includes deep, long-term experience in the human intelligence, relying on vast networks of sources in often very closed environments.
And the technical side.
Sophisticated signals intelligence, managing electronic communication, interception, and analysis across complex, diverse languages.
Yeah.
And technical intelligence, which is focused on foreign military hardware and reverse engineering capabilities.
And you have to have the modern, digital, and geospatial components as well.
Of course, they provide cutting-edge cyber intelligence, which is essential for both defense and network penetration. Then there's geospatial intelligence, integrating satellite and airborne imagery. And, crucially, the analytical synthesis of all these feeds into high-level, actionable, strategic intelligence for long-term political and military decision-making.
So it's this multidisciplinary depth honed by decades of survival under pressure that makes Islamabad the essential technical heart of the JIFC.
That's the argument, yes.
Okay, now let's pivot. Let's go to Part B Riyadh's secondary HQ. If Islamabad is the engine room, the technical hub, then Riyadh provides the strategic steering and the protection for these irreplaceable assets. What unique intelligence responsibilities fall to the Riyadh Center?
Riyadh's role is defined by its strategic, religious, and economic centrality. It acts as the regional coordinator and the specialized protector of high-value, high-risk assets.
Okay, so what are those specific areas of focus? The sources mentioned four distinct areas handled by the Riyadh HQ.
They do. First, they focus on political intelligence across the Gulf and the wider Arab world. Given Riyadh's central diplomatic role, this HQ is designed to rapidly process and disseminate intelligence related to political stability, leadership changes, and potential internal threats to member governments.
And the second is maybe the most sensitive.
Religious site security intelligence. Yes, extremely sensitive.
The protection of Makkah and Medina is a shared priority for the entire Ummah. It transcends any single national interest.
It absolutely does. The Riyadh HQ centralizes all intelligence specific to threats, whether they're terrorist, political, or infrastructure related to Makkah and Medina. This responsibility carries immense symbolic and practical weight, and it requires a specialized focus and local expertise that really only the Gulf states can fully provide.
Okay, and the third focus area is globally critical.
Energy infrastructure intelligence.
Right. The protection of oil and gas routes, pipelines, production facilities. These are essential for the global economy, and because of that, they're a constant target for destabilization.
So continuous high-level intelligence gathering is required here. This involves monitoring sabotage attempts, maritime threats to tankers, and all the geopolitical risks related to energy supply.
And the fourth area is focused on movement.
Yes, Gulf maritime surveillance. This involves intelligence dedicated to protecting the key choke points of global trade, particularly the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz. Intelligence certainty here is absolutely vital to preempt attacks or blockades that could paralyze international commerce.
So, to summarize this dual command structure, Islamabad handles the technical mastery, the multidisciplinary strategic synthesis, and the massive data processing.
While Riyadh provides the regional legitimacy, the focused protection for sacred and economic assets, and the political coordination.
The source material confirms this is a conscious strategic design then.
Yes. The claim is that Islamabad and Riyadh together create a perfect intelligence balance, leveraging the unique strengths of the two major powers in the alliance to cover both the technical and the high-value asset risks.
So let's pull the curtain back and look at the engine that runs this massive operation. If the JIFC is the brain, we need to understand its operational process. How does the raw data enter? How is it processed? And how does that translate into an actionable military or political command?
The sources detail a very efficient six-step operational flow. And this flow is really the mechanical articulation of that shift we talked about, from reaction to preemption. It has to be constant, immediate, and it has to overcome the staggering technical challenges of integrating data streams from over 25 disparate national security services.
So step one must be about standardizing the input.
Step one, daily intelligence upload. This is non-negotiable, and it requires a significant amount of technological effort just to get this right. Every single member country has to contribute its classified threat data to the central system daily.
And this isn't just finalized reports, is it?
No, not at all. This is raw, actionable intelligence satellite feeds, signal intercepts, financial anomalies, reports from agents in the field. Critically, the sources imply that the JIFC had to build these sophisticated universal data APIs and protocols just to allow a small, cash-strapped nation's data stream to communicate seamlessly with, say, the ISI's multi-million-dollar architecture. Standardization is the first victory.
Okay, so you have this sheer flood of data, petabytes of it, flowing in every day, often unstructured in different languages from incompatible systems. Step two has to be where the human element is superseded by technology.
That's exactly right. Step two, AI-assisted analysis. This is the core engine of the JIFC. Advanced machine learning algorithms and deep neural networks are instantly deployed to process this enormous data stream.
And they're tasked with looking for patterns and correlations that are invisible to the human eye.
Visible to human perception, yes. This includes identifying unusual shifts in commodity trading that might signal impending instability, detecting specific command and control signatures in SIGINT feeds, and tracking cyber intrusion attempts across different national borders.
So the AI is acting like a sophisticated digital detective. It's connecting a suspicious financial transaction in the Gulf, a specific keyword pattern on a Central Asian forum, and an unusual level of fuel stockpiling in a third country, all in milliseconds.
Precisely. The goal is automated threat modeling. The system is constantly learning and refining its definition of normal activity so that even a minor deviation registers instantly. And once the data is analyzed and a correlation is found, the system has to immediately quantify the danger. That's step 3.
Step 3, threat level assignment. This is the critical juncture where raw analysis gets translated into an actionable, universally understood command structure.
Using the 4 color codes, yes. These 4 threat levels are designed to eliminate all ambiguity and standardize the response protocol across dozens of different security services.
So what are they?
Green is the baseline. No immediate danger, standard defensive posture. Yellow signifies elevated vigilance. Suspicious activity has been detected. Monitoring increases tenfold, but no action is taken just yet.
Then it gets more serious.
Orange is the pre-crisis threshold. This means escalation probability is high. Alliance assets are put on standby. Diplomatic warnings may be prepared.
And the ultimate alert requiring immediate coordinated action.
That's red. Red signifies a crisis is unfolding. This means the system has identified an immediate and credible threat requiring coordinated intervention, be it an invasion that's imminent within 72 hours, a major state-sponsored terror attack, or an attempt at critical infrastructure destruction. The shift from yellow to red is the difference between watching and fighting.
And once that actionable threat level is assigned, speed is paramount. Step 4 must be the synchronization phase.
Step 4. Immediate alert. Notification is sent instantaneously and simultaneously to the dual command structure. It goes to HQ Islamabad for technical assessment and deep analysis, and to HQ Riyadh for regional political coordination and asset protection directives.
So this dual alert ensures the response is coordinated, factoring in both the technical details and the diplomatic necessities.
Correct. And now the intelligence is transitioning from analysis into command. So step 5 has to be the operational enforcement phase.
Issuing orders.
Step 5. Operational orders issued. This is where the JIFC acts as the commander for the entire alliance. Regional commands receive specific, detailed, actionable instructions, and these are tailored directives, not just general warnings.
So what might that look like?
It might be defensive posture instructions for specific military units, deployment authorization for alliance, rapid reaction force elements, precise cyber defensive countermeasures to deploy, or even coordinated arrest orders for terror suspects operating across multiple borders.
So the system literally dictates the action required by the 25-plus member states, ensuring a unified, synchronized response.
Exactly. And the final step ensures that the system is never allowed to rest or fail, even after a crisis is averted.
The 247 element.
Step 6. The 24-hour crisis desk. Dedicated, multinational teams operate round the clock, focusing purely on preemption and prevention. Their explicit mandate is defined: continuous vigilance to ensure that crises, terror attacks, invasions, proxy wars, cyber destruction never fully mature. They are constantly testing the system's predictive models and acting on that immediate edge of the orange to red transition.
That 6-step flow, it really demonstrates why they refer to the JFC as a living brain. It's an integrated, technologically driven loop designed for constant monitoring, rapid identification, and unified command.
It's all about ensuring the alliance acts as a single, cohesive entity against any form of threat.
We've dissected the machinery. Now we have to assess the strategic conclusion from all this. What is the global impact of achieving this level of unified predictive intelligence? When over 25 Muslim states pool their most sensitive data, how does that fundamentally alter the regional and global balance of power?
Well, it creates certainty of detection. And certainty of detection is the most powerful deterrent known.
Yes.
When adversaries know with a high degree of confidence that their actions will be detected, modeled, and countered instantly, they are stripped of the element of surprise. And surprise is essential for any aggressive action. The power shifts dramatically away from kinetic capability and toward preemptive deterrence.
The sources outline a list of strategic outcomes that define this new defensive posture. Let's look at the specific threats they claim become neutralized or manageable under this unified shield.
The first, and maybe the most geopolitical implication, is the neutralization of regional surprise. The sources claim that with unified, real-time intelligence, Israel cannot surprise attack.
And the logic there is that any large-scale operational planning, mobilization, or preparatory signals, whether it's SIGINT from Turkey, GeoNate from Pakistan, or HUMINT from Jordan, would be instantly aggregated and flagged by the JFC's AI,
alerting the entire alliance simultaneously. The logistical requirements for launching any major high-stakes military operation are enormous. They leave a massive digital and physical footprint. That footprint, when it's viewed through 25 different national lenses at once, becomes a clear target for the JIFC's predictive models.
And similarly, the sources state India cannot escalate unnoticed.
Right.
Given the high-stakes nuclear proximity and the existing tensions there, how does the JIFC specifically prevent unnoticed escalation on that front?
It transforms the intelligence dynamic from bilateral to multilateral.
Yeah.
Any movement of specialized military assets, any changes in naval posture, or any unusual cyber activity aimed at Pakistan would be cross-referenced with satellite imagery and communications intercepts that are pooled from Central Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Gulf.
So the certainty of immediate alliance-wide exposure acts as a powerful brake.
A very powerful brake on any impulse toward aggression or strategic miscalculation. It's essentially strategic transparency enforced by technology. It dictates caution from all regional powers.
And what about non-state actors?
Their capacity is severely restricted. The sources say rogue militias cannot hide. When you have unified intelligence, tracking financial flows, recruitment patterns, and command intercepts across multiple jurisdictions, from the Levant to Africa, there are simply no safe havens left. A threat detected in Morocco is immediately being tracked in Indonesia.
And this addresses the issue of internal manipulation, which historically destabilizes nations even more than external invasion.
Yes, the sources emphasize that hostile foreign agencies cannot manipulate the internal affairs of member states as easily. When the JIFC's AI is looking for patterns of external interference, disinformation campaigns, bribery networks, funding channels aimed at political meddling, those attempts at manipulation become exposed within the centralized analysis.
So an interference pattern detected in Egypt might be instantly correlated with a similar pattern that was observed weeks earlier in Malaysia.
And that exposes the larger strategic play. It significantly raises the cost and the risk of conducting espionage and influence operations against JIFC members.
What about the purely digital battlefield?
The claim is that cyber warfare becomes defensible. Cyber threats thrive on speed and novelty. When a sophisticated attack vector is used against, say, Qatar's energy grid, its signature is instantly shared across a secure network.
Which allows every other member state, Pakistan, Turkey, Indonesia, to immediately deploy a common defensive countermeasure before the attack can spread.
Turning a national vulnerability into a collective defense opportunity.
And the final conclusion regarding terrorists, which is arguably the most immediate practical benefit for the entire alliance.
The conclusion is simple. When intelligence is unified, terrorists lose safe havens. They can't rely on political or geographical boundaries to escape surveillance anymore. The JIFC ensures a continuous operational handover and tracking capability, and that removes the freedom of movement that transnational terror groups rely on for survival and planning.
So the central strategic outcome, as summarized by the source material, is that the JIFC is the mechanism through which unity and intelligence is achieved, which in turn guarantees unity and survival.
That's the core claim. It is a system designed not merely to fight collective wars, but to guarantee collective peace through absolute information awareness. It's the ultimate defense mechanism, aiming for total deterrence by making the success of any surprise attack, conventional or cyber, statistically impossible.
We've taken a deep dive today into the Joint Intelligence Fusion Center, the alleged nerve system of this new Muslim NATO. This is clearly not just infrastructure, it's a profound political and technological commitment to a shared destiny and collective security.
And to synthesize the scale of this ambition,
Yeah.
the GIFC is presented as nothing less than the global eyes and ears of the Muslim Ummah. Its strategic strength is derived from that calculated pairing of capability and legitimacy.
Right.
It relies entirely on Pakistan's deep, technical, and battle-tested expertise to run the operational engine, while drawing critical asset protection and regional legitimacy from Saudi Arabia's centrality and influence.
And the sources, they maintain their bold claim throughout, asserting that this integrated system, because of its geographical breadth, the sheer volume of data flowing through it, and its reliance on predictive AI, is intended to be stronger than any traditional Western intelligence alliance.
It seeks to redefine collective security for the 21st century. That level of integration changes the entire calculus of regional stability. When you move from fragmented reactive intelligence to integrated preemptive command, the rules of the game change for everyone, both in the region and beyond.
And that leads us to a final provocative thought for you to mull over. We spent some time on Function 5, this massive push into threat prediction using AI and data models. So if the JIFC successfully achieves truly unified predictive data modeling, and they can anticipate not only military movements, but economic vulnerabilities or resource shortages with high accuracy weeks or months in advance, how does that fundamentally alter regional power dynamics?
We're really asking, what does a purely preventative alliance look like on the global stage? If information becomes truly predictive, power shifts away from traditional military defense and toward these subtle preemptive political and economic maneuvers designed to de-escalate crises before they even materialize.
So, does such a purely preventative intelligence structure ultimately create greater stability by removing the element of surprise? Or does the very certainty of detection simply lead to new, more sophisticated forms of conflict that even the AI still can't predict? That's something for you to consider as you process this deep dive.
Until next time.
Thank you for joining us.